Hello everyone and welcome to our home in Irvine, California. My name is Luca Baricchi. I'm a former world champion and this is my beautiful wife.
I'm Daria Baricchi and I'm a former Russian national champion, professional, and I was third in the world.
And today we're going to share with you whys of ballroom dancing. Of course, we're not going to be able to share all the whys, but we're going to start from the major one that made a big difference in our understanding of dancing. As a dancer, it's very important to realize the history so that as an artist we can evolve and not just make a change to this beautiful art. So for us, it was very important to understand where ballroom dancing came from. And we're going to share part of the story with you today, and we're going to bring you through that journey so that you can also have a better understanding of the beautiful art of ballroom dancing. So ballroom dancing started in England many years ago, and it was in beautiful ballrooms and a very high society dance. And these encounters were used to create opportunity to socialize between men and women. The man would choose to dance with the lady only if he had a sense of attraction towards her, and the lady would only accept to dance with the man if she also felt some kind of attraction, at least to get to know each other. So this is the beginning of ballroom dancing. Now, at that time, it was illegal to physically touch in public. So dancers began by just having a contact with their hands. And in fact, the man had a beautiful handkerchief in his right hand, and he held it in his right hand so that he would not either crease the lady's dress or inadvertently touch the skin of the lady's back. So the man would have this handkerchief in his hand and place his hand behind the lady. And skillful dancers or intelligent men learned very quickly that they had to move their body in space to communicate. So the bad dancers would start with their feet and immediately step on the lady's foot, and this would destroy any chance of any getting to know each other. So the men learned to communicate with the lady through overbalancing, very gentle overbalancing. As a result, also the lady responded in the same way.
And as you see also, my overbalance, of course, is related to my partner, but it's quite independent. So I'm not looking for my partner to push me, because at that time, of course, partners would be heavy, still is now. Yeah, so my overbalance is very independent. I'm related to my partner, but I'm doing everything myself.
Yeah, so there's a communication through the hands, yeah? Not by pushing with the hands. It was not physical, it was gentleman and ladylike, yeah? Beautifully dressed in beautiful, expensive environments. So everything was done with a very high etiquette and very sophisticated level. So this gentle sense of communication of the bodies overbalancing was the beginning of ballroom dancing and the introduction of line of dance. And you have many dancers just walking around the room in a very elegant manner, not starting the movement from their feet, but starting the movement from their body.
Again, for ladies is the same. I'm not starting the movement with placing my foot backwards. I'm starting my movement with overbalancing and after placing my foot. And as you see also, ladies were all the time moving backwards only, and at the beginning men were all the time moving only forward.
Yeah? So ballroom dancing was very simple, and this time was used to interact with each other. Yeah? So because of the distance in the bodies, the couple could actually have a conversation and get to know each other while they were beautifully, elegantly overbalancing and moving around the floor. Now here there's already one very important lesson, because when you learn to dance, when we also learn to dance, we learn first of all positions and steps. And this is okay, we must learn the technique, and we must learn the basic understanding of what it is that we are doing when it comes to figures. But immediately after that, once we understand the figure, we must immediately remember that ballroom dancing started before a technique book and before figures. That started, as we are sharing with you, in this beautiful ballroom, just overbalancing across the room. So the moment that you have learned that, okay, my right foot must go forward, okay, very good, now I have learned that, now immediately you must translate that into an action from your body. So the first why of ballroom dancing. So my right foot is going forward. Why is my right foot going forward? Not because I know that you must move forward, but because the overbalancing of the body requires me to step forward. So this is the first why. So when you're learning a figure, of course, understand the technical value of the figure and the information on the figure and the details of the figure, but after that ask yourself, why are my feet doing this movement? And immediately go and look for the answer in the movement of your body. For now, we keep it simple, we will develop it further through this time together. Man just overbalancing forward, and as Daria said, lady always overbalancing backwards. Very gently, done with exquisite taste. Now, as the time went by, society of course evolved, as it always does, and it became legal to have body contact. So of course the man immediately took advantage of this opportunity and moved closer to the lady. At this moment, as you can see, and I hope you can see that, let's maybe change the angle slightly, the man did not go in this space as we're used to do now, but actually the man went in front of the lady. So the dancers danced facing each other. Because of that, the lady would feel slightly uncomfortable being so close to the man, and this is why, as a lady, again, if we change the angle, the lady had a slight rotation of her head to the left. This rotation allowed the lady to give the cheek to the man and not the lips. So, first interaction, became able to touch, man got closer, the lady had a slight rotation of the head. From here, movement was the same. So, even more importantly, the sensitivity of the overbalance now transferred not only from the hands, but it became a direct communication through bodies as well. So the sensitivity is very, very important. And the couples just walked around the room beautifully and elegantly, talking and having a conversation with each other. So very simple, very social-oriented experience. I suggest you try this. So when you're trying this process, which is very simple, but it actually gives you the essence, yeah, and the understanding of how important this overbalancing movement is, yeah? And how it is easily forgotten when you're thinking of posture, when you're thinking of big shapes and of big movement, of big steps, and then you're missing the essence of ballroom dancing, which is this overbalancing action. So simple, but so essential if we want to respect the art and evolve the art of ballroom dancing beautifully.
And the idea, also original idea, why actually people started dancing, why we wanted to dance together. We wanted to know each other, we wanted to communicate. We didn't want to push each other, lean on each other, and so on. Yeah?
Yes, it has to be a pleasant experience. So, the next evolution in society and therefore in dancing is that the famous and powerful generals of army started to also attend these beautiful galas. And of course they came with their beautiful uniforms. And with the uniforms came also the sword. So you can imagine the general arriving with beautiful uniforms with their sword. Now, because of the introduction of the sword, it was no longer possible for the couples to dance in front of each other, because the sword would easily disturb the lady. And because of gentleman approach, the man immediately changed his positioning space to the lady. So the man moved left of the lady. And this is why, up to today, we are dancing right side to right side. So this is another why of ballroom dancing. Yeah? Why are we dancing right side to right side? Because of the sword, because of the man moving to the left.
Imagine if the sword would be on the right.
Yes.
So it would be everything other way around.
Yes, we would now be dancing left side to left side. So important point to remember as a man. So it is not about shifting your partner to your right, but it is actually you placing yourself left to the right of your partner. So you are moving to the left, indicating the space where you're going to relate to your partner. So this started to change everything. So a new relationship in space. So now two actions became available: the walking and the new movement became available because now both dancers had a free left side. So it felt natural to have a right turn. So there's two actions: walking action, overbalancing of the bodies to interact with each other, and a natural rotation. So please notice natural rotation. And a little bit later we will discuss the difference between right turn and natural turn. So this is another why that we will go deeper into later. Why are figures called natural and not right? Why is the name natural turn and not right turn? Why figures are called reverse turn and not left turn? And there's a big difference that we need to understand. The story says that later, after quite a long period in which the dancer either moved forward for the man or with this natural rotation of the left side.
For both of us, yes, because my left side is also free, so that's why my movement is also natural and forward. Yes,
very important. So it's both dancers' left side that is now free because of the new relationship in space to each other. So both dancers can use their left side forward to each other. And that's why natural. But we will go deeper into that a little later. So the story says that after a certain period of time of dancing, these two combination of movements, either man moving forward in a linear sense, or having this natural rotation, and
same for me.
Same for ladies, traveling backwards, overbalancing backwards with a forward rotation. And the story says that this couple arrived very close to another couple, and for the first time ever in the history of ballroom dancing, the man moved backwards. This backwards action created what we now know as reverse turns. So now we move to another level. Now we have three actions. And dancers developed therefore three actions, because it felt quite nice, that reverse action. Walking, natural, or reverse. So three actions became available. Man traveling forward, lady traveling backwards with overbalance, plus a natural action from both persons, so both people working forward in a forward space with the left side, creating a natural figure, or both traveling backwards, creating a reverse figure.
Very important, especially for ladies. Yeah, again, we are making all the same actions as the men. It should be 50-50. So I'm not waiting for Luca to do all the job. Yeah, it's my work as well.
Yes, equaling, as Daria says, equaling my work. Now, and equaling, this is also very interesting because normally the man is bigger, heavier than the lady. So equaling doesn't mean the same amount. Normally the lady actually has to do a greater amount to balance the amount the man does because of being bigger and heavier. Yeah?
Sometimes vice versa also. We have couples where maybe ladies
bigger and therefore, yes. Yeah? So the goal is to find the balance between the two, but that's why generally also the lady will have a bigger shape of the man, not because it's just a position that you need to have, but because of that interaction, sorry? Or fashion, exactly, yeah, but because of this interaction or movement in space and the desire to balance it so that there can be an harmony and there can be therefore a pleasure in that movement. So now you have many whys already. Yeah? So why are we placing steps? Because we are overbalancing with our body, always. No matter what figure you do, no matter what dance you're doing. Why is the lady having the head to the left? Because of the dancing in front of each other, this sense of loss of privacy, too much intimacy, too fast intimacy, but the two dancers being so close to each other, and therefore the desire of the lady to give the cheek. So this is why the development of the head being left. Why natural? Why are figures defined as natural figures and reverse figures? Because of our relationship in space. Because generals started to dance and space for the sword had to be created. Now these are very simple things. I'm wondering when we share this information with our students, sometimes we wonder if the students can understand the value because they're so simple and they're such simple aspect, but they're so important because they're the essence of the beginning of ballroom dancing. This is how ballroom dancing developed. Remember, there were still no figures at this time, so the dancers just sensed each other, sensed the overbalance with each other, and sensed the space where they felt correct to move. So if you remember this when you are now in a situation where you have so many figures and so many possibilities and so many information, but if you remember this and to start with this and always to translate what you're doing to this, everything will become much, much more clear. Now, next step. So already many whys were answered. We don't know if it's a conspiracy theory or if it's truth, but for sure, when the technique book was created, the British dancers, which were responsible for creating this technique book, because the best ballroom dancers were all in Britain. This is where ballroom dancing developed. And they had a clear understanding of natural and reverse, because the people that wrote the books, they wrote the first technique book, they were there before the technique book, they are responsible for writing it. And what they did, they simply wrote down the foot pattern that they had created. Every dance is different, has its own personality, has its own character, due to the music. Music came before steps. So the figures of waltz are developed for waltz because they match or they express in the best possible way the character and the melody of a waltz, and so on for a tango, and so on for a foxtrot or a quickstep or Venus waltz or any dance. So the dancer felt movements with the music, using these basic three principles, so overbalancing, natural action and reverse action, which we will understand a little deeper later. Out of this they created patterns. Then of course they decided to write down this pattern to create specific steps, to start to create some technique about ballroom dance. But these original dancers moved their body. Out of the movement of the body, steps came. Of course, it was very difficult for them to express and to write down everything that the body was doing. So it was much easier for them to write down the result of it by writing down the step. What is the result? So if I am overbalancing forward and I have a natural action, the result is maybe my right foot will move diagonally to wall. So it was difficult for them to write down what their body was actually doing. So they limited themselves to write what was the result of the step. But of course, they knew that that result was coming from the activity of their body. The problem began after that, when the next generations of dancers came and they learned from the technique book. Don't misunderstand me, technique book is necessary, it's very good, and you must study it, and you must know what the figures are and the technique. But you must not think from the technique book. You must study the technique book, but then you must always, as we say, translate everything into those simple movements, overbalance, natural, or reverse action. So, the conspiracy theory is that when the British, after creating the technique book and calling figures natural figures and reverse figures, when they translated the book for the European countries, and this is a fact, the book was not translated with natural and reverse, but it was translated as right and left. So the British had natural figures and reverse figures, where the rest of Europe at the time had right figures and left figures. Now this changed everything. Why did it change everything? And this is a very important point for you to understand. If this is the only point you understand from what we are sharing with you today, this is already fantastic. Right and left is an action. Okay, so if we're standing, we can rotate our body to the right, and we can rotate our body to the left, and this is fine. And we can learn how to use our body more, create more counter rotations, and we, as you can study with us in the Institute educational material. And this is an action, and it's okay that we must have both right turns and left turns. When we're describing natural and reverse are describing a space in which the actions are moving. And this is a key factor. When at the younger age I realized that, it made a huge difference in the movement. It makes everything so much more clear to understand. So, right and left are actions. Our body turning to the right, our body turning to the left. Natural reverse is a description of a space in which we travel. We have two spaces in which we can travel when we're talking about natural and reverse. We can travel forward around each other, or we can travel backwards around each other. Because remember, we're standing right side to right side. So as a simple example, for you maybe to understand this easier, if we're standing to the right of each other, we create a point of reference between us. You can practice this. This is an exercise you can do to understand better the meaning of natural and reverse. Now, in this case, if we are both traveling forward and overbalancing forward, keeping a center as a point of reference, so keeping this center still.
We're not pulling from this center.
No, we're not pulling. We're just sensing that center. And we're both moving forward. This is the sense of natural figure. So we're both traveling in a forward space, which stays circular. Why? It stays circular because we have a point of reference in between us. So we are traveling forward in the space, so natural turns. Reverse turns, same point of reference, same center, we are now traveling backwards. By traveling backwards, still in a circle around that point, we are creating reverse figure. So this is an exercise, thank you. This is an exercise that you can practice. By practicing that, you will understand much more what we are sharing to you or with you in words. Therefore, the British couple, going back to the possible conspiracy theory, the British couple understood this. They grow up with this. They learn this before they learn steps. So when they danced with each other, they understood the space in which they were traveling. So they were moving in a natural figure, and they were traveling forward. So we're both traveling forward. Not forward in a straight line. That could be the overbalance, the basic overbalance movement. But in relationship to the natural action, forward around each other, because of course we have a point of reference, which is the center we are sharing. So you can see that Daria also is traveling forward. We're both traveling forward around each other. So we are going back to this original movement, forward rotation, which becomes very easy. Becomes very easy to rotate around each other because we are not turning, but we are traveling forward in relationship to that shared center.
You're spinning, so
yes.
Don't think about it as that.
So reverse action, same thing. Started for a long time. The reverse action started with the man traveling backwards first to indicate the reverse action. And it was reversed. And I'm traveling backwards to create rotation. And that's why it's very easy. It looks easy. Yes, we don't have any stress, any twisting in our body, any spinning, as Daria mentioned before. So you had the British couple dancing. What was a natural turn. They used to dance what was defined as the diagonal waltz, which is what we know as natural turn and reverse turn now in waltz. And they were dancing natural, so forward turn, forward turn, forward turn, backwards turn, backwards turn, backwards turn. So you can see that as we do that, although here of course our space is limited, there is no stress in our relationship in space. Never mind that now we are doing everything in a smaller hole, it doesn't matter, it can be in a bigger hole, it's the same interaction. There will be no stress in our centering and no stress in our usage of space, because we know very clearly where we are moving around each other, because we're respecting the rules of natural. You had the poor European that were studying the technique book. First of all, they were learning from the steps and not by moving their body, which already was a problem. Secondly, right and left. So of course, the European dancers were thinking of right turn, left turn. Now immediately, dancing the same figure, but thinking of turning right and of turning right. You can see what happens to us. We're now twisting. Of course, we're exaggerating this for you to see. Turning left, also terrible, no? Everybody has problem in left turns. That is because there are no left turns in figures. So, if we're turning left, also we're going to start to spin. We're going to continue this, we're going to spin. So, this created a lot of problems for all the couples that didn't understand what is the meaning of natural and reverse. So let us show you one more time natural. So imagine our center, which is the point where we touch, and then a circle around us. And in the natural, I will define this as forward turn. And then I will define the reverse turn as backward turn. Regardless of where we're overbalancing. So this is, I know it's confusing. Just try to follow us here. I can overbalance forward and I can overbalance backwards, and Daria can do the same, and this will decide where we are traveling. Yes? So we can overbalance forward. Let's both do this. Yeah? We can both overbalance forward, just overbalancing forward, and we can overbalance backwards. Okay, this is our direction. This is first. Second, I have to decide if I'm overbalancing forward with a natural figure. What does this mean? This means we are overbalancing forward and also rotating in a forward space. So let us do this one more time. And you can try this. If you can, try it now with us. If not, afterwards try it, because words are words, but you have to experience it in your body in order to understand the words. So, overbalance, give a direction. Decide if you are overbalancing forward. Okay, so we're overbalancing forward. Second, decide, are you creating a natural figure or are you creating a reverse figure? At this moment we're creating a natural figure, which means now we are also rotating forward. Okay, so we overbalance forward. Immediately we introduce also a forward turn, a natural action. So we're traveling in the space forward, circular around us. Now we can also overbalance forward, so we're still overbalancing forward, but now we're going to introduce a reverse action. This is a little more complicated. Why? Because we are overbalancing our body forward, but we are rotating at the same time in a space backwards. So we overbalance forward, and at the same time we rotate backwards. We use the space behind us. We can also overbalance backwards. So we can overbalance backwards, and let's say we're doing a natural turn as a lady. We're starting on with one, so left foot going backwards, not before we overbalance body. So we overbalance the body overbalances backwards, but the rotation is forward. So now is two different senses of direction. We overbalance backwards, but we are rotating forward to create a natural figure. Or we can, like a reverse turn, we can overbalance backwards, and now easier because we overbalance backwards and we rotate backwards, and this will create a reverse action. I hope you can see that on the video. The feeling is very clear when you experience it. That's why it's very important that you try it and you don't just listen, but then try it. If you can, as I said, try it at the same time while we are doing it with you. If not, do it immediately afterwards. That's the only way you can truly understand things, by experiencing them. So if we go back now to natural and reverse, I will define it as forward turn and backwards turn. The true definition is natural and reverse, but just to make it simple, forward turn, backwards turn, regardless of our overbalancing direction. Make sense? I hope so. To us it does. So, natural turn, it's a forward turn. So, I'm rotating forward, Daria is also rotating forward, so we are both rotating forward, and we continue this forward rotation. We continue the forward rotation. Now, overbalancing forward for the man, but backwards for the lady, but both of us are rotating backwards. Can you see the sense of rotation that we have? We will show you also the wrong one afterwards, so you can see the difference. So I am traveling forward, but I am rotating backwards, and I am rotating backwards too. So this, as I said, allowed the couples to stay in a very clear space and keep movement beautiful. So this is the why figures are defined as natural and reverse. Now, what we love in our institute, in the educational material, and how I love to learn also when I was young, I like to study principles. I am not good at learning little information that I cannot connect, because it becomes very complicated and I have to remember too many things. I don't have a good memory. So I rather learn a principle that then I can apply everywhere, a principle of movement. So when I was explained so clearly what is the meaning and why natural is natural and reverse is reverse, it truly changed everything. It made everything so much clearer in how we're moving. Yeah? Then there was no more struggle. And one of the biggest problems in ballroom dancing is the struggle that there is in the couple, the stress that is built while the couple is dancing. Then the pleasure is gone, and that original sense of enjoying each other in the movement with music disappears, because it becomes a struggle. Why? Because there's no understanding of the spaces in which we are traveling. Maybe there's a great understanding of how to use the body, and you're trying to do many things with your bodies. The problem is, the more things you're trying to do with your body, and the bigger things you're trying to do with your body, if these basic principles are not clear, you just make your life very, very complicated. And then you fall into what we define as teaching methods, by not turning, or keeping the side long, or holding this, or holding that. But that is what we don't like, because then I have to remember all those information, and also all those information become a limitation, it becomes a restriction to our expression. So we like to share principles that have a history, as well, of course, as principles that are evolution. And this is what we're really working on with the Institute, to capture the essence of movement, not even just to ballroom dancing. In this case, we're relating to ballroom dancing, of movement. And then, of course, understanding that the essence, applying to that the greatest technology available now, understanding of movement, of perceptions, and so on, in order to maximize it, but not change it, right? Because ballroom dancing is such a beautiful art. We should not change it. We should not lose the musicality. We should not lose the beauty, the interaction, and the pleasure of dancing, of two people dancing together. We should not lose that. But that can be lost very easily, as I'm sure you have experienced, and we have experienced in our careers, when principles are not fully understood. Yeah? So let's go back to the poor Europeans that were dancing right turns and left turns. So remember, what is the difference between right and left, and natural and reverse? Right and left is action. So we are rotating our bodies. Of course, when we're doing natural figures and reverse figures, we are rotating our body. Don't misunderstand that. It doesn't mean that, okay, now we cannot turn our body. Of course, we're rotating our body. But we're rotating our body with a clear understanding of the space in which we're traveling. Because rotation is an action, natural and reverse, it's a definition of space. I repeat that one more time. Rotations are actions, we have them as many as possible. Natural and reverse are definition of space. So, the poor European, let's go back to them again, they have no definition of space. So what they did actions, they turned. They turned. And as a result, because space was not defined, they lost the relationship of space with each other. So, then of course this can be fixed by, as I said, teaching method. Turn less, keep your head left, keep your right side long, and all these kind of things which make it very complicated. Yeah? So, for European, turning right, turning right, turning right, turning left, turning left. Basically impossible to keep a beauty in a quiet center to each other. So let's look again at the British, natural. So the body is still turning. Yeah? So you can see we can turn the body. And I wish we had more space available in order for you to see the full head movement. Yeah? So remember, this doesn't work just in a small hole. You can have a big hole, you can have bigger range. It's not a limitation. This actually will open up a lot more possibilities to you. So we have the body rotation, but with that body rotation, we define the space in which we are traveling. So we have the body rotation, but we define the space in which we are traveling, and as a result, magically, our center doesn't slide and our space is not affected.
Also, this principle is for every dance, so it's not only waltz principle, it's the couple relationship.
Yes. In tango, for example, I spent a lot of money, a lot of energy, a lot of emotional energy and frustration trying to understand two walks and progressive link, where of course I was turning left, so dancing two walks, turning left, and as a result always ending up in the wrong side of my partner. Now from here, of course, my teacher tried to get me to keep my right side long, to stay more left, but the more I tried to do these things, the more uncomfortable I felt, the more difficult the movement came, but not good difficult, bad difficult, like just restriction and very awkward movement. When I applied the principle of reverse action and natural action, and I thought, okay, let me think about this. So I'm overbalancing forward, but I'm rotating backwards.
The important way is also, I hope you see it, my movement is as independent and is as important as Luca's movement. Yeah?
Yes.
So my overbalance is very important. My reverse action is also very important. Yeah. So my actions are very, very important.
Yes, equally as important as the man. Equally as important as the man. So as a lady, don't just follow. Find your own activity in relationship to each other. But again, we continue to, I repeat myself many times, I hope it's not too many times. If you understand the principle and if you apply it in every figure, you will understand also better how to deal with this mystery of lead and follow, which is another big mystery which we will not discuss today. But it's another big mystery of how the man can lead without pushing and pulling the lady, and how can the lady follow but staying active and independent. Well, this will help you tremendously because you have point of references to each other of how you're moving to each other. So it's much more predictable where you're moving and what you can and what you can't do.
Remember also that we're moving in a circular, yeah? So I'm basically the half of that circle.
Yes.
So we can do it one more time.
The tango.
Maybe, yeah, the tango.
Okay, maybe let's do it this way, then you can speak to the camera.
So you can see also Luca is moving forward. He's overbalancing forward, but he is doing the reverse action, yeah? If I place my hand here, maybe if you do the same, we can imagine it's a circular that we are moving around. It's a circular that we're moving around. I hope it's quite visible.
Yes, I hope so too. So this is really extremely important. Then after that, after the two walks, walk. So when I realize that by going reverse, I can now rotate as much as I want. You see, we are not limiting our rotation, but it's the space in which the rotation is traveling. The wrong one would be that we are turning only. Or that, and this is the natural mistake, is to turn in the direction, to turn in the space in which we are traveling. Turn in the space in which we are traveling. Which means I do two walks, I am traveling forward, I'm overbalancing forward, putting that rotation also in a forward action, that produces that wrong action. I'm now in the wrong space. So this is the easiest mistake. So overbalancing forward, rotating backwards, Daria overbalancing backwards, rotating backwards for the first two steps, walk, walk. We can continue the rotation in the body. we can increase the activity of the body, no problem. This, as you can see, creates more space in the couple also, but it's still harmonious with each other. Now, from here, progressive link, it's a forward rotation, it's a natural figure. So I will travel forward and I will also travel forward. And this again magically will protect our center. So why? The whys are so important because the original dancers started by moving their bodies, by interacting, by looking for an interaction together, by sensing how a man, a gentleman, could instigate a movement in the lady without forcing the movement either with the arms or, of course, not by pushing because it was even forbidden, as I said at the beginning, or by not stepping, but by not being forceful, but by creating an intention, a clarity of intention of the movement to create a relationship to each other. So why is this so important? This overbalance, so important to create that, to create the first interaction. Extremely important. Extremely important. Why figures are called natural, are categorized in natural figures and reverse figures. I guarantee you, because we experienced it ourselves on our own bodies, when you apply this to every figure that you do, and the beauty of this is the simplicity. It may not be simple when I explain it to you, it may not be simple to understand at the beginning because it's like really different and you'll think, oh my god, this is now I have to change everything. But if you just open your mind for a moment, you try, just exercise, go back to practicing your exercise. Why are we defining natural? Because we are standing in this relationship. If, as Daria mentioned earlier, the sword was on the other side, we would be standing here. We would actually be calling the left turns natural, because it will be a forward action, and the right turns reverse, because it will be a backward action. Now, for example, if you are dancing smooth, where your relationship to each other is constantly changing, or for sure changing many more times than ballroom, where it never changes, that switches, okay? So what is natural and what is reverse will switch depending from where you are to each other in space. And in ballroom dancing, more simple, because it doesn't change. We are all the time standing in the same relationship to each other. So practice this exercise. Find the sense of center, not pulling, not holding, just sensing a center, and then just walk forward. This is natural. So the sense of natural action, when you can increase that, you can have greater space as you do that, but it's still working forward, or working it backwards. So not turning, not just turning, but actually traveling in that space. So this simple exercise, understanding of that, this is just an exercise. I don't want you to look like this when you dance. Of course I want you to use all your body. If you know what we stand for when we're talking about movement, we want you to use every part of your body. So don't misunderstand us. We're not telling you to stand still and just use natural and reverse. No, this is we're discussing one principle. We're discussing the why figures are defined as natural and reverse. Space. Please remember this. If you can understand, not I can understand, you can understand everything, but if you can capture one thing from today's workshop, is the understanding of why figures are called natural figures and reverse figures. Practice it as an exercise and then apply it. No limits in your body activity. I want you to experiment that actually. Now is the perfect time, yes? Most of us are at home. So you can try, first of all, slowly. If you're on your own, you can do the same. Yeah? You can practice it on your own and just imagine that, okay, this is the center, this is where my partner is, and I'm going to sense the forward sense of movement, or the backward sense of movement, always in relationship to that center. Imagine that your partner is doing the same thing. If you can practice that as a couple, even better. So understand that. After that, you can add all the body activity that you want. We want you to use every part of your body. We want you to be the dance. So understanding how your body works and all the activity, so important. But it is like a closet. Let me give you a simple example. If I have a closet in here, I only own one shirt. I can place the shirt in anywhere in the closet. It will look tidy. But if I have many clothes, and I have shirts, and I have trousers, and I have suits, and I have ties, and so on, I need to organize the space in which I place things clearly. The more things I have, so the more actions, if we translate that into movement, the more actions we have in our body, and I repeat, we are promoting for you to increase the amount of actions as much as you can. That is why we are just coming out now also with very, very interesting and enlightening educational material which will be available for you online very soon. So we encourage you to learn about your body, awakening every part of your body. But the more activities and the more actions we have in our body, the more we must also have a clear definition of the spaces in which we are placing those actions, so that same as a closet, everything remains tidy, and every time you look, it looks aesthetically pleasing. It doesn't look a mess. Yeah? When a closet looks a mess, I'm a very tidy person. Yeah? Daria also, we like things to be very tidy. So if you go to our closet, not today, you will see that everything is in order. Yeah? Space is used very efficiently and very clearly. So movement, beauty, comes from the clarity of the space in which you're placing your actions, not just from the actions themselves. So the understanding of why is important, because the original dancers knew why.
And I think it's also great time now. Of course, maybe some of you have bigger homes, some of you have smaller homes, but still space, I think, is limited. It's not the dance studio. So it's actually very good to try things in the smaller spaces also, yeah. So don't start again with maximizing everything. Start with the smaller actions.
Yes.
Feel those actions. Later, when we are finally out of our homes and we can go to our beautiful studios, we can maximize everything. But don't do it at the beginning. Yeah. So I know many ladies, they like the big shapes, and I'm all for it, but don't start from that. Start with the movement. Start feeling the actions, start feeling the spaces in relationship to your partner, so that we don't go immediately to the shapes, but we go into the essence of the ballroom dancing. It's very important, I think, and I think this time is very good to practice those things.
Yes, I mean, very, very relevant point, yes, because this situation is not a good situation for any of us, but we can use it positively. And as dancers, it doesn't matter which level, you can use this time to try, as Daria exactly said, to learn the small movements. The big movements are the easy. The small actions, when increasing the sensitivity and the awareness of the small actions and the small spaces where movement come, then to increase the volume and make those movements bigger is the easy part. Yeah? So now, for most of us, there is no choice. Because we don't have the space. Therefore, things can be done and can be used perfectly, actually, for this purpose. So, we hope you enjoyed our workshop, and apart from enjoying it, that you have been able to capture something, that we have managed to share with you something that we believe is truly important, and that's why we decided to give the title of this workshop, The Whys. Yeah? Because for us, understanding why it's very important because there is always a sense to things, especially when we're talking about the essential things of ballroom dancing. But those essential things, again, I repeat myself, are vital. You must not forget them and replace them. They cannot be replaced. So you must understand the essential things, not because we want to dance like in 1930s, not at all, but because we need to understand where ballroom dancing developed from. And then, as I said, put in all the technology that is currently available in the study of biomechanics, of instinctive perception, and so on, so that it can be maximized. But the essence of dance remains. The beauty of dance remains. Not the artificial beauty, not the plastic beauty, but the true beauty of movement, of a man and of a woman interacting with each other in space with a great sense of music and emotion.
She can be anyone, you know, in the end. Because we have now same-sex dancing, so I think we can define it anyway.
That's a method,
so it's
yes.
just two humans
interacting
with each other, with the music.
Yes. And in the meantime, while you're developing this, and you may need to listen more than once, to our workshop to capture it and to truly understand, not only intellectually but intelligently, and to sense it, to sense our words. In the meantime, stay safe, take care of yourself, and we will do the same. And we truly look forward to see you all very soon and have the opportunity to hug you again.
And kiss.
And kiss.
Have a great day.